feared and feared through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with a win. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, and such over my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky son still have me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Disciples of Ed here with the Always Next to Your Podcast Network. I am Rob. I'm joined tonight by Steve. How's it going, Steve?
It's another day. One day closer to hockey. Finally have it again tomorrow for the Flyers.
Tomorrow night. Thank fucking God, man. Thank God. Shane not able to join us tonight. He is otherwise obligated. Hopefully getting laid. He really deserves it.
Yeah, that's what we were all hoping for.
Anyway, at midseason, got a lot of Flyers and NHL related talking points to hit. But first, I want to hit something that's not really hockey related per se, but something that kind of shook the sports world on Sunday. The death of former NBA star and Lower Merion product Kobe Bryant and his daughter, as well as 7 other people in a helicopter crash out in California. So just wanted to send our thoughts and prayers and condolences to the family and friends of everyone who was involved in that tragic incident on Sunday. Anyway, back to Flyers hockey, which is what we're here to talk about. They're at the just about to complete the All-Star break. They are back in action tomorrow night in Pittsburgh, heading into the game with a record of 27, 17, and 6. And Steve, what would you make of the Flyers' first half? Was it a successful one? Did they have things that they need to build on a little bit?
As always, it was up and down. You could see how good they could be at their full potential, but you could also see how bad they could be. But at the same time, how bad they could be this year is still better than how bad they have been in previous years. So I'm pretty satisfied with how they have done the first half of the year going to the All-Star break. It's the system is better. The team reacts better. I'm sure you have like your losses that seems like it's like, how did we lose this fucking game? But at the same time, in those losses, they've played better than they had before. So it's just, I'm satisfied. And you know what? They're going to do even better this next half of the season, getting this break, healing up, Vigneault literally having his martinis, and then we're going to be good.
Well, they're going to need to, because despite the fact that they're 4 games over true 500 and they are 10 games over hockey 500, they're still they're 6th in the Metropolitan, and they are actually on the outside looking in the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference in the is to the NHL basically what the Western Conference is to the NBA. The conference is absolutely stacked. I mean, look at the Atlantic Division. You got Boston and Tampa up top with 29 wins and 30 wins respectively, but Boston ahead in points because of all their overtime losses. Florida having a great season. Toronto right there. And then look at the Metropolitan. You got the Capitals atop the division, actually with the most points in the entire NHL with 73. You got the Penguins, who have surpassed the Islanders, and then the Islanders themselves right there at 63 points, and then Columbus at 62, Carolina at 61, the Flyers at 60. So a lot of very good teams in the Eastern Conference, and the Flyers hanging right there in the playoff hunt. They're 1 point out of a wild card spot, chasing Carolina right now. Carolina or Toronto,
Columbus.
I believe.
And Columbus. Columbus is actually in there.
Well, Columbus is 2 points ahead of the Flyers. Columbus, I believe, is the first wild card, and then I don't know if it's Toronto or Carolina is the second one.
Yeah, they're both second and third. I think they're both above us.
And then the Flyers, they're Carolina and Toronto both 1 point ahead of the Flyers. So despite the fact that they have had a relatively successful first half of the season, still a lot of work to be done if they want to end up in the playoffs and some teams that they need to climb over. But I agree with you. A little bit up and down in the opening half of the season. They dealt with some injuries. Connecting missed some time with his concussion. Obviously, the unfortunate news with Oscar Lindblom done for the season with his cancer diagnosis, and Carter Hart now out with a shoulder injury, I believe. I forget what injury Carter Hart has, but he's going to miss some time. Elliott's going to be minding the net in the interim, but it shouldn't be too much longer before Hart returns from that injury. But they've overcome some things.
Another week.
Another week?
Yeah.
That sounds about right. I think it was like a 3-week injury, and it happened about 2 weeks ago. Sounds about right.
This is abdominal.
Yeah, I can never pronounce that word for some reason.
It's also a word that I feel like I say correctly, but it's probably never correct. Abdominal.
Yeah, it has a lot of syllables in it, and I'm a couple beers deep right now, and I think you're a couple drinks deep as well. So we're not going to try that word too many times. But yeah, he should be back soon. Once he is back, that'll definitely be a boost to the Flyers. Although Elliott has played well in his absence. He ended the first half of the season, or not really the first half, but the last game before the All-Star break with a shutout over the Penguins at home, who they go to visit tomorrow night to resume play after the All-Star break. But yeah, a lot of good things to build on. And what is one thing that stood out the most to you in the first half in a positive way?
Literally, if any Flyers player is in a slump, just put them on the line with Sean Couturier, and they get out of it.
Couturier is the slump buster.
It's insane. Like, just name a player. You just put them on Couturier's line, they start producing again. I think it happened with Voracek. I think it happened with JVR for a short time. I might be wrong there.
Well, JVR needed a couple slump busters because then they put him on a line with Konechny, and he was able to break out of his second slump of the season in the last couple of games before the break.
Yeah. But yeah, I think even Giroux, I think even Lindblom for a little bit, but Konechny as well. It's just, if anybody's on a slump, just put them on with Sean Couturier and production will happen again.
I think it has to do with what Couturier brings to whatever his line is offensively with his net front presence. It allows his teammates around him to have a little bit more space to operate with the puck because he garners so much attention down low.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's not putting up the goal totals this year that he has the past couple of years, but just his presence down low in the goal mouth, it draws a lot of attention from defenses, and it kind of opens things up for his wingers around him. So yeah,
it's also his stick work. Like he can bring the puck into the zone. Sometimes he makes like a pass that I don't agree with, but I feel like it's part of like the system, like their offensive zone attack. But it'll eventually go behind the net, and then he's there attacking it, and then just creating hell for a defenseman or like a forward that's trying to play defense, and then he gets it back, and then a play is there to be made, and then eventually a goal. He's always done that well. It's just right now the players and I guess the system, I would say as well, it's working out. But yeah, it's just Couturier is a demon on puck pressure, defensive pressure all around. But also, like, his zone entries have looked kind of better this year, mainly because he's had more support, but also it's just crazy. I don't know. I'm trying to explain it, but I have drank a bit.
I mean, to be fair, I'd say that a lot of the zone entries that really anybody was attempting under Dave Haxtell kind of looked like shit just because the way that Haxtell had them, basically doing everything offensively. I think that a lot of the zone entries, really, no matter who has the puck under Vigneault, have looked a lot more fluid. But yes, definitely agreed that Couturier is one who has stood out. He looks like he's improved that aspect of his game greatly throughout the course of this season.
Well, yeah, I definitely agree. And also, Konechny just looks like he's more on fire. He's more comfortable doing more than just getting into the zone and shooting the puck. He's actually like turning back, looking for a pass, and it works out. But back to Couturier, I think he is definitely going to get another Selke nomination this year, and I think it's between him and Barkov to get it, honestly.
He deserves it, man. He's deserved it in years past, and he kind of got overlooked for it. So hopefully the NHL has opened their eyes to the greatness of Sean Couturier, at least in the Selke nomination category, and he actually gets the nod this year. Then again, he still has, what do they have, 32 games left?
Around there, yeah. I think they're at 48.
They played 50, so...
Oh, yeah, 50. Yeah.
So 32 games. So he's got 32 games to prove why he should win the Selke, and I fully trust him to go ahead and do that in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think the Pro Hockey Writers Association did their mid-season trophies, and I think they said that he would get it right now. So that's good.
Are there any other Flyers in consideration for anything there?
I don't believe so.
Of course not.
I mean, not. Why really? Think about it. Like MVP, I don't really. I mean, TK has had a great year. I would consider him like our current MVP.
But, team MVP, but he's nowhere close to being on the same level as McDavid or somebody like that.
And then Rookie of the Year is nothing. Norris Trophy, Provorov, maybe, but not really. I would maybe say he might be top 10, I guess.
Yeah, we don't really have a whole lot going. And then, Conn Smythe and all. I mean, Carter Hart's been up and down, but he hasn't played very well on the road. So kind of out of the consideration there.
You're already looking ahead to the Stanley Cup Finals win?
I'm I meant the Vezina.
yeah. Carhartt, not quite there yet. Maybe another 2 years, I would say.
Would be nice if that happens in 2 years, but so the Flyers, I mean, they're 27-16 or 27-17 and 6 through 50 games. So put together a very nice run in the first half. They don't really, aside from Konechny and the offensive output that they had from Lindblom before his cancer diagnosis, they haven't really had anybody, I guess, kind of lighting it up. They've had consistent efforts from a lot of players. Kevin Hayes has stepped up. He's played very well. Giroux, a little bit below what he's put out in the past couple seasons, but still putting up some decent numbers. Couturier putting up decent numbers. Van Riemsdyk quiet throughout most of the first half of the season, but kind of came alive in the last couple games. So, as I said, not really anybody just absolutely putting up eye-popping statistics for them, but just consistent performers throughout the lineup, and that's why they are where they are right now and contending for a wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. Do you expect any of these players to kind of, I guess, really come alive and maybe put the team on their back in the second half of the season?
I mean, the strange thing is that, like, you're not wrong when you say that nobody's putting up eye-popping numbers, but at the same time, we've had players that have gone on these cold streaks and then hot streaks. Voracek, he was on a cold streak, put on Lime Couturier, where he found his game, I guess, in a way, again. Now he's third in our team in points. JVR, he was cold, he was found himself on the fourth line. Then all of a sudden, he starts to build a hot streak. Now he is tied for second in goals. Kevin Hayes, as much as I said that, hey, his career high in goals is 20 and career high in points is 50, he is now tied with JVR for second in goals with 14, and he's at 27 points. JVR and Hayes being on I guess you could say the lower lines have started to find their groove, especially in recent 2 months, I would say. It's crazy because the players are on a cold streak, then all of a sudden they get hot, and then the points produce, and it's crazy. It's great to see. Hayes, he contributes in all facets of the game, and
excellent penalty killer.
Fantastic penalty killer. I
really
didn't expect it. I really didn't.
Probably 100% on breakaways this year too.
Not sure about that. Maybe 95. I don't know.
Maybe 95.
Yeah.
I don't
but
know.
it's still,
He's pretty damn good for a team that's historically struggled on breakaways. He's been able to cash in on his chances this year.
yes, and that's something that we have needed for quite some time now. Besides Giroux, but yeah, Kevin Hayes and JVR, like the top six, if you would call it that, like Couturier, Konechny, Voracek, Giroux, JVR, Hayes. They're also the top six in points, which is good to see. It's just the depth players who have gotten hurt throughout the year, as long as that they can stay healthy and then produce consistently, I think we'll be fine and continue to push for this wild card spot. We are just in the division of death, basically, with all these other good teams.
Yeah, like I said, the Eastern Conference is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and look at the Pacific Division in the West. Their top team has 62 points. We have 61, or we have 60. Carolina 61, Columbus 62, and like we're in the same division. We're 4 and 5 in that division. To be compared to the top team in the Pacific, it's just a truly Flyers way to not make the playoffs. Hey,
yeah, it really is.
We missed out by such and such points, but look at this team in the West. They had 5 points less than us. It's just guess
who's the top of the Pacific? Is that it's not Vegas, is it?
No, I think it's Calgary right now.
Calgary. I mean, Calgary was ice cold to start the season, so they've kind of picked it up a little bit. But yeah, the Pacific Division is like basically the NFC East of the NHL this year. So yeah, it is unfortunate the Flyers have played as well as they have, and they're still on the outside looking in. But like we said, plenty of hockey remaining, 32 games left in the regular season, and only a point out, so they can easily make up that ground. Then some. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually pass the Islanders, who they're only 3 points behind right now, and actually sneak into that third spot in the Metropolitan Division.
It's really going to be a dogfight for that third spot in the Metropolitan, because it's that, or basically I would say that the third spot, first and second wild card, pretty much go through the Metro, I would think. At the same time, I do think one of those wild card spots goes to Toronto eventually.
Yeah, Toronto, either Toronto or Florida, one of those two teams. Whoever doesn't finish third, or whoever is fourth in the Atlantic Division.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to envision it, and then I forgot about that.
It happens.
But yeah, it's going to be crazy because these teams are all so close. Columbus, I think, is overachieving. Florida, I think, is also overachieving, but then again, they have Quenneville. But Columbus, I have to say, Tortorella's done a hell of a job with how much they lost in the offseason. And then, especially Bobrovsky, and then their goaltending is playing as well as they are.
Yeah, quick on that. Elvis Merzlikins, do you think it's, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Do you think this is real, or do you think this is just a flash in the pan?
I don't know. The last good Latvian goalie was Artur Zerbe. And this guy's got 5 inches on him. And he's got a 926 save percentage right now through his rookie year. And there was a point in the season where he was only playing away games, I believe. So, I don't know.
It's really interesting.
Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Korpisalo, he had some, okay numbers before, and now he's out here with like a 913 save percentage. His career is 908, so I really don't know. I think Tortorella realized, hey, we don't have the offensive guys we used to have. This is how we're going to play now. And I haven't watched enough Columbus games to disprove my theory.
Yeah, I've watched 2 Columbus games this year, and they're both Flyers beating them, the one time here in Philly and out in Columbus, I believe. So, yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of Blue Jackets ice hockey either, but I've seen the highlights. And this dude, he's made some pretty ridiculous saves, but I think it's kind of similar to I remember when John Sebastian Jaguar was real good for the Anaheim Ducks, and he was making highlight reel saves every night. But one of the reasons why he was making those highlight reel saves is because he was out of position. And I've seen that a little bit with Merzlikins. He's using that 6'5", or I forget how big
Six 6'3", but it's all about the
6'3".
athleticism.
Yeah, 6'3", and you're right. Absolutely, it's all about the athleticism and being able to cover a lot of net, because I have seen him. He has been out of position on a number of these highlight reel saves that he's made, but he's been able to make it work. I just don't know if the fundamentals are there for him to make it last, or if it's just going to be a flash in the pan. So I guess that's something that will remain to be seen for him throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, time will tell. I mean, with those numbers, like that's when, if I were a coach, I would be like, okay, maybe we should be starting this guy a little bit more. But I'm not a hockey coach. I'm just a banker.
Yep, you're a banker and I am a Amazon delivery driver. So who are we to tell John Tortorella what to do with his goaltending situation?
Yep. Like I've been constantly saying, I feel like I'm smarter than a lot of these quote-unquote hockey guys that get paid to do this job. But,
Well,
there's
throw
already
your name in the ring
my
next time there's a job opening.
Yeah, I'll try.
Assistant to the GM, is that right?
Advisor.
Advisor to the GM. I always get that wrong.
Special advisor.
Well, speaking of GMs, real quick, I want to gloss over some of the Flyers' offseason acquisitions and kind of give them like a letter grade, and you can too if you want, of how far or how well they've played so far this season. So I'll start off with Kevin Hayes, who we mentioned earlier in the podcast, has played. He's done everything well he's played well at even strength. He's been an excellent penalty killer. He's been money on the breakaways, and he's not eye-popping stats: 14 goals, 13 assists, 27 points, and also a -14 through 50 games. But I think the plus-minus doesn't really do him much justice there, because he's done a lot of his damage on the penalty kill. So Kevin Hayes, $7 million a year for 7 years, is getting paid $49 million. It's a lot of money, but he's been worth it so far. I would give him a B plus so far for this season. What would you give Kevin Hayes so far?
I'm saying A minus. The minus is purely because of the contract, but it's an A to me because of it's beyond the stats. I didn't expect this greatness that we've seen elsewise besides the stats. His penalty killing, just his overall play, like even strength, has been phenomenal. He's literally a second lesser Sean Couturier, it seems like. He's got some of the same smarts, but not so much. He does the same stick work, stick checks, poke checks, seemingly always in the right position. He is the perfect complement to Sean Couturier, I believe.
Yeah, it really is, and that's something that I think a lot of people didn't really expect him to be this year, but I didn't
expect him to be this good. All right, I expect him to be decent at it, like just maybe like good at it, but he has, to me, looked great.
Do you think that there's something to say for his familiarity with Alain Vigneault, and Vigneault maybe knowing the proper way to use him to get the most out of him?
Yes, I could see that. I go see. I mean, he's wearing an A in either the home or the away games. So yeah, I definitely think that he is definitely helpful, especially with the new system. He understands the system because he's worked with it before. So I think that helps with his leadership and everything, and then his play, and then his line mates will be like, okay, I know what he's going to do, I guess, and then it works out.
So that was the Flyers, their big splash in the offseason. As I said, 7 years, $49 million for Kevin Hayes. Really, their other big acquisition this past offseason, defenseman Matt Niskanen, who 49 games, he's got 5 goals, 14 assists for 19 points. He's a -4, but really, I think he's done an excellent job defensively. He's kind of stabilized a position that hadn't really been the Flyers' strength over the past few seasons. He's really been a professional defenseman. He doesn't get out of position a whole lot. He doesn't turn the puck over. He does everything that's asked of him. at least from a defensive standpoint, and he isn't letting the world on fire offensively, but he's made some plays here and there. He's scored a couple of goals for them. So Matt Niskanen, I would give him a B. Steve, what's your grade there?
Just a B. I would give him an A.
You would give him an A?
Yeah, everything you've said, I believe as well. And you were kind of like meh on his offensive ability. Everything I've seen from him, he's in the right position. He has actually helped out the second power play unit, it seems. And also, I think he's taught the whole defensive core to bat the fucking puck away with your hand in the defensive zone. He has had one terrible miscue with it, I will admit. But I think that, I don't remember what the goal against was. So it was a few weeks ago. But now he has been a good compliment to Provorov. I think he has helped Provorov elevate his game again. And I just think he is, like, right now, been such a great veteran leader to this very young defensive core outside of Justin Braun, who I anticipate you're getting to next.
Yeah, it was. There's a couple more, but yeah, we can talk about Justin Braun now that we're on it. I think that I don't know. I was never really a big fan of the Braun signing.
Oh, I hated the trade. It was a trade. I hated the trade.
The trade, yes. Yeah, I was. I don't know. I looked into it, and statistically, just looking at some advanced stats, which I hate, by the way, but I did look at them, and he was one of the lower tier defensemen in the NHL.
Yep.
And I don't know. I'm still not really a big fan of Braun, although I think he has played better than I expected him to. He, once again, like Niskanen, has been stable as a defenseman. He's got on a little bit of a goal-scoring run of late. Was it 3 goals in the last 5 games?
Did he really?
Yeah.
Damn.
He had no goals in his first 39 games, and now he's got 3 goals. Well, in his last 5 games, because I think he missed a couple games in there. But, yeah, I mean, you can't really expect much out of him offensively, but defensively, he has been stable. He hasn't been, really a detriment to the team like I thought he was going to be. So I would give Braun. You know what? I'm gonna move Niskanen up to a B plus because I think B is a little bit low for him, and I'm gonna go B minus for Justin Braun. Where do you go with Braun?
I feel like you saw my optimistic grades and had to go a little bit higher with Justin Braun.
Yeah, you're making me look bad there.
No, it's all a matter of opinion, all right? I'm giving Braun a C plus because, one, I can't get over the fact that they traded, 2 second-round picks for him, which is way too much. 2, he has been pretty decent, defensively, and I have been surprised with, how well he had played with Sanheim, and he has made some plays where I'm watching him like, oh God, it's Justin Braun pinching. Oh God, why is Justin Braun doing this? And then, you know what? It usually kind of works out. So, I don't really have anything against him. His advanced stats have not looked good with San Jose. With us, I don't feel like they look good. I haven't looked at them.
Yeah, I never look at advanced stats. I'm not a fan of it, but I had to when we picked him up because I saw people on Twitter being like, this guy's advanced stats are, I think they said, bottom 10 out of all NHL defensemen over the past 3 years or something like that.
And that was when he was playing with, like, Eric Carlson, Brent Burns, and Vlasic. But,
yeah, so it's kind of eye-popping when you're that bad playing around those guys. But I don't know. I feel like the way that he's played this year, he's at least been decent. He hasn't been as bad as those advanced statistics would paint him out to be.
Yeah, and Sanheim Braun, I think just Sanheim, he kind of helps Sanheim in a way. So like that pairing was a pairing I really liked. So it's just a matter of we'll see what happens going through the season with a healthy Ghost and Ghost Myers maybe.
Yeah, it's a good point that you raised there. And I think that Braun's presence defensively has allowed Sanheim to, open his game up a little bit more offensively. I mean, he's only got 16 points, but he's got 7 goals, which is pretty good for a defenseman. I think that Sanheim, as he grows as an NHL defenseman, is going to kind of mold himself as a little bit more of an offensive guy than a defensive guy. But he's played well on both ends of the ice, and I think that the stability that Braun has lended to that duo has helped him out there.
That, and I think Braun has actually helped his penalty kill. I do trust Justin Braun on the penalty kill. I definitely trust him there. So that's another thing that I couldn't really say about like a Nick Grossman type, Andrew McDonald. Fuck that guy. Justin Braun, overpaid for him in draft picks, but he's still like someone that I could trust killing a penalty.
There goes your roommate yelling.
That's the other roommate.
Oh, man. All right, well, moving on to Tyler Pitlick, I think, is the last guy that we have to talk about in terms of
my dude
pickups. Yeah, 44 games, 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. Not really producing a whole lot offensively, but I don't think we really expected much out of him there. He is a +2 in the plus-minus, but has been excellent as a defensive forward, and just a guy who can go out there and he can help shut down the opposing team's top line. I think that's what they paid him to do, and that's what he's done a very good job of so far this season. So I'm going to go with in terms of comparing it to what I expected out of him, I would go with a B+ for Tyler Pitlick.
B+? Okay. Now, we traded Ryan Hartman for him. Now, Ryan Hartman, I loved the idea of him. Didn't really pan out in the 20 games we had from him last year. But I think he could have done just slightly more offensively of what Tyler Pitlick has done. Like, Tyler Pitlick, like you said, he's got 4 goals, 7 assists. He's missed some time with injury.
Yeah, he's out of the 50 games, he's played 44, so yeah, he's missed 6 games.
Yeah, okay. And now
I think he might have been scratched for 1 or 2 of them, but yeah, I think he was out with an injury for a little bit.
Yeah, Tyler Pitlick shouldn't be scratched anymore. He has deserved his spot on the 4th line, even maybe the 3rd line. I love Tyler Pitlick's game. I absolutely fucking love it. As for rating, I would say a B, because he brings the energy. He attempts to do things that's maybe out of his element, but at least, it's fun to watch, and it's hardly detrimental. He is the exact type of player that I usually just fall in love with. Hardworking, puts his whole heart into it, and eventually gets those goals, those greasy goals. And then, every now and then, maybe a dirty goal, like a snipe. I love Tyler Pitlick. I'm calling it a B. But at the same time, we traded Ryan Hartman for him, who maybe we would not have re-signed, maybe he would have been a lot more expensive. I understand the trade. But Ryan Hartman on this team, I think maybe has at least 10 goals.
What does, let me look it up real quick. Now I'm kind of curious. What has Hartman done so far this season? I'm going to check that out real quick. I got Hockey Reference up, and my computer's looking like or my internet is
slow as shit now. Bet you I beat you to it. He has 6 goals and 7 assists.
I was just about to say that. I had it up for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I had it up for 5 seconds, but I couldn't get the words out of my mouth, so you beat me to that.
Yeah.
All right. So
he's also playing for the Wild, and the Wild are very underachieving. But
that's fair.
Both of these players are both chippy and everything. Hartman has more of I guess what you would call a mean streak, where he would actually get into a fight. Pitlick, he's chippy, gets into the fucking grinding areas of the game, and he just does well. I am always satisfied to see Tyler Pitlick on the 4th line. I have no qualms about it. I look at the lineup for next game, and I think it's Raffle, even Connor Bunneman as the center, and then Tyler Pitlick, and I think that line could do some good defensive work.
Yeah, I like what they could bring to the table there, and I think that we saw it over the last couple of games before the break. They were able to kind of tightened things up a little bit, only giving up the one goal to the Kings and then shutting out Pittsburgh. And how many? I mean, Pittsburgh only had what, like 21, 22 shots in that game, something like that?
I believe so, yeah.
So, I mean, Elliott played well, obviously, to get the shutout, but that's really thanks to the defense and the work of the guys on the third and fourth line to keep that potent Penguins offense, off the score sheet there. And hopefully they can do that again tomorrow night.
The best thing about that is I think there was one game this year where the Penguins did wreck us.
Yeah, it was like 7-1.
Yeah, but Vigneault can actually adjust. And then when you can put Couturier against Crosby and then Kevin Hayes against Malkin, you're in a pretty good spot, especially with the system, I think. So I think we actually have the coaching staff that can figure this shit out and the centers to there's the word I'm looking for. Execute on the system.
All right. So taking a look at the second half of the season, or the final 32 games as it is, not really the second half started with the 42nd game, but the post All-Star break portion of the season here. The Flyers had a lot of road trips in the opening half of the season. Not really the case in the second half. They do have one 3-gamer that's a visit to the Barclays Center to play the Islanders, and then their Florida swing taking on the Panthers and the Lightning. Other than that, they have no road trip that's longer than 2 games. But on the other hand, they have, they've got a 3-game homestand in the end of February. They got a 3-game homestand in the beginning of March, and they've got another 3-game homestand in the middle of March. So for a team that's played very well on home ice and has had their share of struggles on the road, definitely advantageous for the Flyers to be playing much more of their games throughout the remainder of the season at the Wells Fargo Center. And do you think that's going to be a deciding factor in whether or not they make the playoffs?
Oh, yes, it definitely could be. Another thing is that they play a lot of Metropolitan Division teams. You got the Penguins two more times, sorry. One of which is away, which is Friday. You've got New Jersey 2 more times, again, both ways. The Islanders away, and then the Islanders home.
Got the Capitals twice on the road, I believe, and I think, it's it. Twice on the road for Capitals.
Damn. Let us revisit this question in March. That is a tough schedule I'm looking at right now.
Well, it's tough in terms of the teams that they play, but with how well they've played at home, I think that, they've beaten just about everything. They needed a shootout, I believe, to lose to the Capitals. They've beaten the Bruins at home. They've beaten they've beaten a number. They beat the Penguins, obviously, the last game before the break. Played very well in a loss to Tampa at home. They could face the best teams in the NHL in the Wells Fargo Center. They got as good a chance as anybody to beat them. It's on the road where they struggle. So just the fact that most of their games throughout the remainder of the season are at home, I think that in and of itself could be enough to get them into the playoffs.
Yeah, they have they are second to least in home losses, just straight up losses in the East. Boston has the least. So, yeah, the Flyers have 4 losses at home over time, or just regular losses. The Bruins have 2. So, yeah, they can definitely keep that going, and I really do think that they can overcome this kind of road, kind of losing bout, I guess I could say. I think they figure this out on the road. The team gets healthier. Team, again, continues to get acclimated to the system, continues to play like they can. I really do think that the amount of home games they have is also going to propel it, but I really do think this team is a wild card team at least.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you there. I think that the way that they're playing, they're definitely a playoff caliber team. It's just unfortunate that the Eastern Conference is as stacked as it is this year, as we mentioned before. But, they have enough talent on the roster and they have a good enough coaching staff that with 32 games remaining in the season, they've got plenty in the tank to push forward and leapfrog at least one, if not two or three of these teams to snag a wild card spot. And maybe even, as I said before, maybe even that third spot in the division if the Islanders kind of fall off a little bit.
I definitely agree. Sorry, I was using my e-cigarette. The Flyers and the Blue Jackets have the same goal differential. And the Blue Jackets are ahead by 2 points right now.
+8, I believe.
Yep. The Hurricanes are +27, which is pretty insane. So the Hurricanes do concern me, but the Islanders, they only concern me because of Barry Trotz. The Blue Jackets, I could see them falling back down to earth. Maybe the Latvian goalie isn't so spectacular anymore.
Yeah, looking at it now, the Blue Jackets are where they are because they've given up the lowest goal total in the entire Eastern Conference, and only Dallas has given up less goals in the entire NHL.
Yeah.
But Columbus, offensively, they have struggled. They're tied with the Senators, and then only the Devils and the Red Wings have scored less goals in the East. So,
but also, Jesus Christ, man.
What's that?
The Blues are the best team in the West with 70 points. The next best is 62. Which is 2 points more than the Flyers.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, man, we're in the wrong conference.
Yeah, the next best, it's a tie between Colorado, who plays here on Saturday, and Vancouver, who leads the Pacific. Vancouver's leading the Pacific, and then Calgary is 2 points behind them, 60.
I got that flip-flop then earlier. I apologize.
Yeah, but not really much impressive hockey going on in the Western Conference. All the dominant teams here in the East. But like I said, the Flyers, they have as good a chance as anyone to snag a wild card spot. And I think that furthermore, if they do make the playoffs, they could be a dangerous team. I don't think that they would make it all the way to the Stanley Cup, but I could see them winning a round or two, depending on the matchups if they do make the playoffs.
Man, yeah, that's the crazy thing about this new stupid playoff format. Depends on the matchups. Before, it was kind of a thing, but it was, you knew the seeding. And then, it was, the worst, the higher seed played the lower seed. But this
I'll tell you what, though,
there's a set bracket, and it's like crazy. It's like, okay, cool, we're in this bracket, and I was like, we could definitely beat that team now. We win this, we're on to the fucking finals. That's just how I look at it now. It's crazy.
If the Flyers say they get a wild card spot and they end up playing the Bruins in the first round, they're 2-0 against Boston this year.
Yeah, that's still a tough matchup in the playoffs.
It is in the playoffs, yeah, and Boston's a team full of grizzled vets. Some of the guys left over from that 2011 Stanley Cup team, I think Bergeron and Marchand and a few other guys.
Right.
So Chara. So yeah, they've got some grizzled vets who have been there before, but the Flyers in the two games that they played seemed to match up pretty well against them. So that's one potential matchup they could have there.
Yeah, but say we play Pittsburgh in that first round, that's a series I could see us winning this year.
Especially if they can figure out to continue to do what they did in the last game and shut down that top couple of scoring lines for the Penguins.
Oh, dude, just Couturier and Hayes attack.
Get Tyler Pitlick out there against their top line and shut them down every single time.
All right, I wasn't going that far. I love Tyler Pitlick, but I wasn't going that far.
Oh, man. All right, well, we're coming up on getting towards the end of this segment here, end of this episode, I should say. Before we close things out, just a reminder to follow us on Twitter at Disciples of Ed. It's all one word. You can find our personals. I'm at radio_Rob. Steve, where can we find you?
At Schmitty324.
And you can find the Always Next Year podcast network at ANY Podcast that has links to all the other Philly sports and basically any podcast that we have. We have your Whiskey Ramble. I believe you guys have a new episode or new show coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, me and Shane are recording Saturday. We did one last week, so there's at least one up. It was a strange one where I started off sober.
And then you got drunk as it went along.
But not that drunk. It was crazy. It was strange.
Oh, man. Oh, God. So definitely.
Not only was I sober, but I was also in a good mood because the Chiefs had just won.
Well, hopefully you will be in an even better mood come Sunday night, because I think everybody in Philadelphia who doesn't still have an axe to grind is going to be rooting for Andy Reid.
Yeah, I believe that too. But the next show that we're recording is going to be Saturday, so it's going to be me. I'm definitely going to be buzzed before it, and
you're going to be nervous as fuck by that point.
Yes, I will. My butthole will be shaking the whole time in anxiety.
Oh, God. Well, we're pulling for your boys. I think I can speak for most of the Always Next Year podcast group, and just about the vast majority of Philadelphians. We're pulling for your Chiefs on Sunday.
Yep.
So, real quick before we close out, Rage Room moment of the week. What has happened in the past week that has pissed you off?
Dude, I keep saying it, but it's just incompetence at my job. It's just one bad thing. You build such a rapport with a customer, and then they speak to one other person on the phone, and they're just so bad at their job that you get an email from the customer saying, "I can't stand your front end anymore." It just ruins it. It's like, dude, you're fucking us over. We get incentive off of our surveys, and they're going to send a bad survey because of you. Like, one person is bringing us down. It's like this one person is the Andrew McDonald of my job, and it's pissing me off.
Yeah, well, if you have an Andrew McDonald at your job, then you're bound to be pretty fucking miserable there.
Yep, pretty much.
All right, well, my Rage Room moment of the week is courtesy of my bank, and it has to do with my desire to do some gambling on my phone. I tried to deposit money from my credit card onto the Parks Sportsbook app.
I don't think they do credit cards.
They do, yeah. You can.
They do? Oh, okay.
Well, credit or debit card, whichever one you choose to do. You just have to, I guess, put the information in on your phone and deposit the money that way, which I've been successful at doing probably the first 6 or 7 times I did it since I downloaded the app. Tried to do it so I could put some money on the Sixers game on Tuesday night, which thank God I didn't because they actually didn't cover the spread. But
yeah, no, don't get me started on that. I put so many things on that game, man. I put so many things on that game. I didn't lose money, but I could have won $1,200.
Anyway, my fucking bank, after like 6 or 7 times successfully depositing money on the app, decides that they want to block it from happening. And mind you, I have plenty of money in my checking account. I have plenty of money on my credit card. I had more than enough money to pull off this transaction 15 times over. And for some reason, they assumed that it was fraud. They blocked it from happening. Ultimately saved me $50, but still, that's not cool to stop a dude from placing some bets like that. So, screw you, bank.
Hey, man, I work at a bank, so I have a lot of questions, but I'm going to ask them here. It could have been a prior transaction, okay?
It could have been. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I still need to actually go to the bank and address the situation with them. Just haven't had time because of work.
You could always call, too.
Meh, I don't know.
I don't know what bank it is, but usually the customer service line can usually help with that. Sometimes they're better than the branch level, like I am.
Yeah, I should probably give them a call.
Yeah, do that.
Sort it out.
Well, and that has
Anyway,
been me giving Rob some banking advice.
anyway, you got any final thoughts you want to throw in regarding the Flyers or anything hockey related before we call it a day?
No, I actually don't think I do, unfortunately. I'm going to put a lot of money on Flyers being the Penguins once we're down 1-0 or 0-0. It won me some money last time.
So basically, we can expect the Flyers to lose tomorrow.
Nope. Last week, it was 0-0, and the Flyers were still plus money, so I bet them. And I also bet the Bruins while they were down 2-1 against Vegas. $10 won me about 50. So I will play my cards right. I don't bet games. I don't bet hockey games before they start anymore because it's just stupid. But yeah, I will be watching the game and I will be deciding what I'm going to bet. Also, I'm off Saturday, so I'll be at a bar where I have better luck with these things.
So bar is your lucky spot. Okay, well, it's good to know that you'll be in your good luck spot at least for what's going on. But yeah, I bet on the Flyers once this season, and it wasn't even on the outcome of the game. It was that the Flyers would score more than one goal, which is, it's not going to win me a whole lot. And guess which game I bet it on? I bet
Probably
it
going to
on
get shut out.
I bet it on the Tampa game, which is the only time they've been shut out the entire season.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, that's your luck. Me, the past 2 times I've bet on the Flyers have been a live bet where they were either tied or down like 1-0. And it was against the Penguins, like I already mentioned. Before that was against the Rangers, where they were down 1-0. I'm like, oh, we're winning this fucking game.
Ended up being, 5-1, I believe?
Yep.
All right, so yeah. you can continue
I just have to,
because you actually have good luck with it.
Yeah, I just have to watch the game and get a feel for it and be like, we're winning this game. Because sometimes I have that feel. I have such a feel for it that I have to bet money on it. So,
all right, well, let's hope that you have a feel for it tomorrow night.
Agreed.
All right, so we thank you all for listening to this episode of the Disciples of Ed. We apologize about the little time gap between episodes. Scheduling conflicts came up and jobs got in the way and all that kind of stuff. But we'll attempt to get at least one episode out every week. Definitely check it out. We will attempt to at least have one episode up next week and hopefully the following week after that as well. So once again, thank you for listening to this episode of the Disciples of Ed here on the Always Next Year podcast.